Why the 5 million? Why such a bond? I haven't met any, touched any,
Mr. Kelly,
contacted anyone. So why?
I can't say anything
Yeah.
else. You're making a termination statement.
Did you hear what he just said?
Yes.
Sir, I'm going to tell you to stop talking right now. You just, again, you may have just made a very large concession on the record. Good afternoon. What is your name?
Michael Kelly.
Good afternoon. I'm Magistrate Garwood. I'm going to be handling your case today. You are here today on case AAPD 23-10375. If you can state your full and complete name, including your middle name.
Michael Patrick Kelly.
Thank you. And Mr. Kelly, have you had a chance to talk to the public defender?
Briefly.
Okay. Then we will proceed. I want to let you know that the complaint I'm proceeding on today, it goes back to March 9th of 2023, and it was signed by the court. Magistrate Fink signed it on June 21st of 2023. And it's my understanding that based upon information gathered yesterday and today, new charges will be coming, and those will be dealt with tomorrow in a separate new complaint. So whatever I do today, you'll be again in court tomorrow to be seen, I believe, by Magistrate Cameron. So I just want you to know that, okay?
Does that require I stay overnight? I'm scheduled, I'm being scheduled for emergency back surgery. I have very severe arthritis at U of M, and it's against my sciatic nerve, which is disabling pain. And I didn't get 1 minute of sleep last night. Can I come back tomorrow then for that?
Well, we'll talk about it later, okay? We're going to go through the charges, and then your counsel can make whatever arguments that you and she wish to make regarding bond. But first, we're going to go through the charges, okay?
Okay.
All right. So, sir, first, your rights. You've been charged with felonies, so you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to an attorney. If you can't afford an attorney, the court will refer you to the local appointing authority for them to make investigation as to representation. You also have the right to a probable cause conference within 14 days of today and a preliminary examination within 21 days, and you have the right to a trial. Do you understand your rights as I've explained them to you, sir?
I need these written down. I have memory loss and I'm not able to remember things. You'll be given a. Go ahead. I have been diagnosed with MRIs. I've got a serious cerebral microvascular brain disease, which I'm continually having strokes, and small strokes in the brain. They're not getting enough blood, so I'm getting medication for that. That has caused a memory loss, and so I'm disabled from defending myself in the past, the long distant past. So I don't know what to do. I can't defend.
Okay, well, all right. So, Mr. Kelly, as far as your rights are concerned, when we are done, you're going to be given a copy of your advice of rights form, and that will have all the details of your rights, including the rights I just went through. They will all be on that document. And you'll have a copy of that in your documents that you get at the jail.
Okay.
So with that, you understood the rights, correct?
Well, not exactly. I can't even remember what you said. Actually, that's my memory. So I have to have it on paper to be able to look at it.
So you can't remember what I said a minute ago, but
no,
you can remember all the details of your medical situations?
Well, because I've been living with it for more than a year, so I've got that knowledge. But
Okay, so we'll make it easy. We're going to make it easy for you. You have the right to remain silent. Do you understand?
All right.
Anything you say could be used against you in a court of law. Do you understand?
Yes.
You have the right to an attorney. Do you understand?
Yes. One question I had, I may ask, I thought I had a right to an attorney when they came to my house last night and, to do whatever they did, arrested me. And I thought I had a right to have an attorney present while they did things, but they denied that. So I misunderstood maybe. I thought they even asked me, do you want to have an attorney? And
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
I'm going to stop you. I have a specific job I have to do this morning.
Okay.
Or this afternoon. We've been going since early this morning. So I have a specific job I have to do today, and that includes advising you of your rights. That includes making you aware of the charges against you and the penalties, getting you an attorney, getting you your next court date, and dealing with bonds. We have specific things we have to do, so we do them in a particular order. I'll be happy to answer questions that are appropriately asked to me when it's time, but right now is not the time. So I'm going to talk. I'm going to ask you questions. I need you to answer those questions, and then we'll deal with what your questions are later. That's to protect your rights, okay? Yes, do you understand? Okay. So I told you you had the right. You have the right to have an attorney appointed in this case, and you said you understood. The next question, or the next part of that is, if you can't afford an attorney, the court will refer you to the local appointing authority, and they'll be in touch with you to handle representation for this case. Do you understand?
I already have a public defender, Gina Novesky.
You have a public defender for a different case. This is a new case.
New case. Okay.
That's what we're talking about today. Today,
okay.
While I haven't gone through. Okay, one person can talk at a time, Mr. Kelly. I haven't gone through the charges yet. I will in a minute. Okay. You also have the right to have a probable cause conference within 14 days of today. Do you understand?
Who's the conference with?
It'll be with Judge Simpson.
Okay, what's the nature of the probable cause conference? I've never heard of that before.
A probable cause conference is when the two different attorneys gather with you, with the court, to determine what kind of a case you have, if there's any kind of pre-settlement that can be arranged, or what kind of a track the case should go on. Whether you should move forward to a preliminary examination and ultimately a trial, or if there's some kind of resolution that can be entered at that point. So that's a probable cause conference. So you have the right to do that within 14 days of today. You have the right to a preliminary examination within 21 days. Do you understand?
How do I arrange the probable cause conference?
I didn't understand your question. Ask it again.
How do I arrange a probable cause conference? How do I initiate, or what do I do?
You don't. That's my job. I will give you the date for your probable cause conference in a few minutes.
Oh, okay, I see.
So you have the right to a preliminary examination within 21 days. The court will schedule that. Do you understand?
Yes.
And you have the right to a trial. Do you understand? Mm. Yes?
Yes. Yeah, I said yes.
Thank you. I will have Ms. Coons from the Public Defender's Office represent you today, and then you'll be referred to the local appointing authority for them to handle representation going forward. We are going to proceed with appearances by counsel. We will start with the people.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Grace Burton, appearing on behalf of the people.
Good afternoon. Ms. Coons?
Good afternoon. This is Bridget Coons from Public Defender's Office on behalf of Mr. Kelly. At this time, I would ask for a reading of the charge.
Thank you. So, Mr. Kelly, I'm going to go through the details of the complaint with you. It's alleged that on or about March 9th of 2023, that you were at 2121 Highland Road, apartment 1 in the city of Ann Arbor. Count 1 alleges that you did arrange for, produce, make, copy, reproduce, or finance any child sexually abusive material contrary to Michigan law. Do you understand this first charge? Not whether you agree or disagree, but do you understand that's what you've been charged with?
Okay, well, the problem is I already went to a hearing then, and I was put under house arrest, and so I thought that was handled. So I'm getting this twice.
Nope, these are new charges. You continue to do these things, so now you've picked up new charges. Your other case is still over at circuit court, and you're on probation. And since then, you now have new charges, and that's what you're dealing with today. So that was count 1. That's a felony. It has a maximum penalty of 20 years in prison and or $100,000. Count 2 is another charge that you did arrange for, produce, make, copy, reproduce, or finance any child sexually abusive material. Again, the penalty, 20 years in prison and or $100,000. And count 3, another charge that you did arrange for, produce, make, copy, reproduce, or finance any child sexually abusive material. Again, a felony with a maximum penalty, 20 years in prison and or $100,000. Do you understand what you've been charged with and the maximum penalties?
But I do not know what these.
That's not what I asked. Do you understand that's what you've been charged with?
Oh, okay. Let's see. Okay.
Okay.
I don't have any, these 3 occasions, I don't have any occasions of those things happening. And so
that's your, I'm going to stop you. That's your defense. You're welcome to make whatever defense you would like, but these are the crimes that you've been charged with.
No one's complaining about me and I've been following the rules the whole time, and all of a sudden these 3 charges.
Sir,
counted me, or they only came to me once last night in the whole time I've been under house arrest, and there's so how can there be 3 charges when they only saw me once?
these charges, again, they come from March, not from last night. You're going to get new charges from last night. These charges are from March.
Okay, well, I was already sentenced to that, to house arrest.
Sir, I'm going to stop you because you're talking about the events that deal with what you're charged with, and I don't want you to say something that could be used against you. So we're going to proceed as we always do. I'm going to have you stand mute. That means you'll remain silent as to the charges. I'm going to enter a plea of not guilty for you. I'm going to schedule you for your next court date. That's the probable cause conference that we were talking about before. You'll get a notice to appear while you're in custody. Your next court date is going to be July 20th at 9 a.m. or as soon thereafter as your case can be called. That will be by Zoom in front of Judge Simpson. The next thing we need to address in this case is bond. And there are two parts to bond. Bond conditions, those are things the court tells you you can and cannot do. If you violate a bond condition, you are subject to immediate arrest. The other side of bond is whether you can be released today on your own personal recognizance or whether you'd have to post a bond in order to be released. Before I make any decisions regarding bond or bond conditions, I will hear from the people if they wish to be heard. I do have a check on your criminal history that I have here with me on the bench. I will hear from Ms. Coons on your behalf, and I have had a chance to review the complaint in this matter, and I'll take all that information into my evaluation when I decide what to do, and we will go through your conditions in just one moment. Would the people like to be heard?
Yes, Your Honor, briefly. The people are requesting no bond in this case. This is now the fourth CSAM case in the last 5 years with this defendant. So far, no personal recognized bond or probation have allowed him to continue doing this. He has multiple reports matching his description, being called out as somebody whose behavior needs to be curtailed, and he is a danger to the children of this community. For all those reasons, Your Honor, we would be requesting remand, no bond.
Counsel, if I may. So the court rule provides very specifically when I can deny pretrial release. And certainly this is not murder or treason. Is it your position that this is a violent felony?
Your Honor, it's our position that this is, that he poses a danger to the community. He clearly has an interest in minor children and he can't curtail his desires or behaviors. So to protect society, we are requesting no bond and in the alternative, a very high cash bond.
Okay, so if there's a specific court rule or specific provision of the court rules that you can point to that allows me to do about no bond, I'm happy to hear that from you. But the court rules are really specific when I can deny bond. So
Thank
is there
you, Your Honor.
something?
I do not have that.
Okay, thank you. All right, then we will hear from Ms. Coons.
Yes, this is Bridget Coons from the Public Defender's Office. We would be asking for a bond amount that Mr. Kelly would be able to post. We understand the seriousness of the offense, but he is a 74-year-old who has extensive medical issues. He has severe arthritis in his back, 5 slip discs, does require immediate back surgery that he had scheduled for tomorrow. He has microvascular brain disease causing strokes and memory loss. He also has cancer treatment. It was in treatment yesterday for that. He is low income. His only sources are Social Security and state assistance. He does live inside Ann Arbor and is insisting on his innocence. So for those reasons, we would be asking for possibly a personal or a low cash bond or to consider a 10% bond. Thank you.
Thank you. I would note for the record, as I'm reviewing the criminal history in this case, it appears that the defendant is on probation from a case that originally came out in 2018. So he's on probation with the 22nd Circuit Court, and it's for the same type of activity here. Looks like he pled no contest, and he remains on probation for that. And I'm quite confident that in that circumstance, if he's on probation, there are certainly restrictions of what he's allowed to possess or not possess concerning child sexually abusive material. There's another case from 2020, and that was bound over to circuit court. And so it's unclear to me when the next court hearing is on that case. But on that case, I'm sure if he's out on bond, he would have similar conditions, providing that he cannot have access to child sexually abusive material. From the bond form, it appears when the police arrested him yesterday, there were additional child sexually abusive materials that were found, and he's on house arrest right now. So if the activities that he's prohibited from doing continue while he's on house arrest, that's not a successful probation term. Something else has to be done to ensure that he's not doing what he's supposed to do. I would also note from the bond form and from the testimony we heard from the Ann Arbor Police Department, or the information from the Ann Arbor Police Department, it's alleged that Mr. Kelly continues to go places where there are minor children. He doesn't have any minor children at this point. It's been alleged that he's been around. various schools and other locations.
Not anymore, since it was forbidden. I cooperate with that very strictly. And I've had no contact with children. I don't seek children. I'm not interested in contact. I've never had any sexual experience with any child in my life.
I didn't say that you have had any sexual experience.
Well, I'm no danger to
The
children.
child.
And
I'm gonna,
I don't seek children. They're not. I live beside the university. There's not even children around, and so I don't seek them. I don't seek contact with them. Have no desire to. So it's a false accusation that I'm a danger to children. I am.
okay.
I am providing for children. I have adopted 33 families of single raped mothers and single orphan mothers in South India that I'm raising permanently and providing education, housing, love, and Social Security and all their life needs. And now they are thriving and blossoming, getting degrees. And so I spend my whole life sacrificing my life and all my assets to raise these poor village girls and boys into happy lives. And I've given, I've provided more than around 50 all expense paid degrees with only have Social Security and food and SNAP card, depending on miracles for it. So I absolutely, my life work contradicts any danger to children or anything. I give children happier lives by giving them, life support, education, and get them going. 7 nurses, 2 lab technician paramedicals. One's got a master's in industrial biotechnology. I formed an orphanage in the poorest village in South India. And I raised a couple hundred, giving them happy lives and getting them off married or degrees or getting them off into life. I'm still providing for several orphan mothers who were original.
Mr. Kelly, I don't want you.
So what I'm saying is I'm speaking my right to defend myself. I am no danger, God knows, to children. He does miracles to pay for these tuitions. Even one daughter of the original orphan who escaped her family drinking poison because they were starving to death. I raised her and got her a house. She could only go 9th grade. And my coworker told me her daughter just last year, August or September, graduated from 12th grade and yesterday decided to be a nurse. So I prayed, and we had no money for that. I prayed, Lord Jesus, I can't. You can, please do. Amen. Thank you. 2 days later, someone donated her entire 4-year nursing degree tuition, all for free. And she's begun classes very happily. So there I have proof from heaven, God doing miracles to provide my caring for children. Mostly they're grown up now, women and married. And so I have witness from God doing miracles for me that I am no danger. They have all the priests and sisters and orphans and the women from India wrote letters to the judge testifying that I'm completely clean and good, no complaints ever. So it's a false accusation. I've been suffering from the state that I'm a danger to children. And it's not fair to me. It's a crime against me and my own integrity. I have never sexually touched anyone.
Mr. Kelly, I'm going to stop you. I've heard you. I'm going to stop you. You have either pled guilty or been found guilty, which is why you're on probation for possession of child sexually abusive materials with the circuit court. So that is compelling to me. I am going to use the information I have that's been presented to me, and I'm going to set your bond conditions. Your bond conditions are as follows. You're not allowed to leave the state of Michigan without prior permission of the court. You are not to assault, terrorize, frighten, intimidate, threaten, harass, molest, or stalk anyone. You're not to commit any crimes while your case is pending. You are to have no contact in person or by phone or through any telecommunications device with any minor child. You are not to enter into any school, any elementary school, any middle school, any high school, anywhere where children might be present who are minors. You're not to enter into any daycare. I don't want you going to the hands-on museum or any kind of museum where children might be present. I cannot hold you with no bond. The court rules don't allow me to do so. They're very specific when I'm allowed to do that, but I can do other things. It's clear to me that home confinement is not working because there are now allegations that even while under home confinement, you continue to get new charges for possession or creating child sexually abusive material. So continuing, you're required to stop. I'm talking, not you. All of your conditions will remain in full force and effect until changed by the court, and you must appear for all of your court hearings. While you remain in custody, the jail will assist you so you can participate in those court hearings. I'm going to set a cash or surety bond of $5 million. If I could give you no bond, I would absolutely give you no bond in this case. This is an appropriate case for no bond, but the statute doesn't allow. So that will be the bond, $5 million, cash or surety, no kind of 10% privilege. And your next court date will be July 20th. I will put a note in the file for the medical ward to make sure that you are getting whatever you require for your medical care and attention. And that is what the court's going to do. Anything further from the prosecutor?
Nothing. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything further, Ms. Coons?
Nothing further. Thank you.
All right. And Mr. Kelly, we'll get all of your paperwork down to you at the jail. And again, you'll be seen tomorrow on your other new charges that are currently being worked on through the Ann Arbor Police Department. You are all set. You can stand up and go to the door. Thank you, sir.
I don't understand. Do I get public reconnaissance?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Ask your question one more time.
I need for my health. I'm arranging. I have to be home because I'm getting an emergency back surgery and U of M, and I need to be there for the doctor to give me the appointment time. I'm having. I just had an MRI, and they showed I have a very severe arthritis. Two vertebrae, the disc have almost disappeared. They're bone against bone. Have 3 vertebrae with bulging disc against the sciatic nerve, and I can't endure being here. It'd be too difficult psychologically, mentally, physically, and so if I can just be allowed to be back home, I'll come back. I mean, I'll do everything, but I can't physically endure the conditions here.
I heard you already told me all the information you've just provided to me. I'm not changing your bond. The bond will be $5,000. Again, the medical staff will help you with any immediate needs that you have. You're welcome to use the phone as the phone is allowed, through the jail to make whatever phone calls you need to make to whatever friends or caregivers that you have to get that date for your surgery. But I'm not going to release you on less than a $5 million bond based upon all the reasons presented. So again, you can go to the door. The jail will assist you, and we'll get your paperwork to you shortly. Thank you, sir.
May I ask why the $5 million? I haven't done all that. It was a few pictures in my apartment. Why such a bond? I haven't met anyone, touched any
Mr.
children,
Kelly,
contacted anyone. So
please
why?
don't say anything
Yeah.
else. You're making incriminating statements.
Did you hear what he just said?
Yes.
Sir, I'm going to tell you to stop talking right now. You just made the comment, all I have are a couple pictures in my apartment. Again, you may have just made a very large concession on the record. So I've stated why your bond is what your bond is. You are all set. You can go to the door, and I wouldn't make any more comments today. Thank you. So have to get up and go to the door because you're done.
Can I speak with my public defender?
Not right now. They'll be in touch with you.
May I know when?
I didn't hear your question.
May I know when she can contact? I need to talk about what's happening. I don't understand any of this.
They'll be in touch with you prior to your next court date.
So what, do I stay here then? Till then, or I don't understand what's happening?
Unless you post a $5 million bond, yes, you're staying in jail.
Okay, now one thing too, may I have a Fourth Amendment right, I think, against unusual cruel punishment? Okay, last time I was in jail, I had to go to the, listen please, this is important for my life. I had to.
This is not something, sir, this is not something I'm going to hear today. If you want to have the public defender file some kind of motion that there's some kind of violation of your rights, then you can call their office and ask them to do that. But I'm not going to address something that happened the last time you were in custody.
Yeah.
That's not appropriate. I still have other people to see today. So you are done for today. Their phone number will be on all of the paperwork that you have. You are welcome to call them to have whatever discussions you wish to have. One of them will, if you don't call them, one of them will be in touch with you prior to your next court date. So now you're going to need to stand up and go to the door so we can proceed.
Okay, but last time I had to go to the hospital emergency as soon as I got out with interior bleeding because I can't digest the food. So my health is in danger, and my back, my surgery, everything's in danger because of this. So I need this.
There's a medical staff, and the medical staff will assist you if you have any medical issues. If you have a dietary issue, you can make the medical staff aware of that, and they will follow whatever dietary issues you have within reason. You're all set. You can stand up and go to the door. If I have to ask you to stand up again, I'm going to have to get staff to come in and move you. Thank you.
Pardon me. Thank you for that, I guess. So now, what is my next contact? Yeah, I'm coming.
Next court date is July 20th at 9 a.m.
Okay, so
I'll get your paperwork for you.
do I contact her or she contact?
We'll be in contact with you, Mr. Kelly.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for the work.
All right, sir.
I'm not sure where to go from that.
Please, will you hand me my screen box?